Hey everybody, welcome back to the Live Life Simple Kitchen. Today we're making a very simple, easy 5-ingredient recipe that checkmarks all of the boxes that I require for freeze drying, and that's inexpensive, it's quick to make, it makes a lot, and it's a successful freeze dry, of course. And we're talking about beef stroganoff today. It only takes about 5 minutes to prepare, about 15 minutes of total cook time, and you're right onto the trays, and shortly after that you're into your freeze dryer. So let's get to that. And I love this recipe because it's only 5 ingredients. All you need is some lean ground beef, some cream and mushroom soup, a little garlic powder, some egg noodles, and some sour cream. I also like this recipe because it rivals Mountain House. They offer a beef stroganoff, but in my opinion, the home freeze-dried is always so much better than the commercially freeze-dried or the store-bought version of a recipe. I'm obviously skewed, of course, because I do freeze-drying all the time, and I'm making this today in a large freeze dryer, so we'll have 5 trays. We'll go through quite a bit of material here, but let's get into this. The first thing we need to do is brown our ground beef, and this recipe is going to be for a very full medium tray or a large tray. So we're going to start off with 2 pounds of ground beef. And anytime you're doing meat with a freeze-dried recipe, you want to go with the leanest meat you possibly can. I'm using 90% lean right now. You just don't want that extra fat. I'll show you a way also after this is cooking or done cooking that we can reduce the oil and the fat a little bit. And if you do a lot of ground beef or ground pork, anything like that, one of these is pretty handy. It kind of separates the big chunks of beef, evenly spreads it out, and especially once it starts to kind of crumble, get into that beef crumble, it separates it really nice. I'll put a link down in the description for this. While our hamburger's cooking, we're gonna get a big stock pot and we're gonna boil some water, and then we're gonna throw 16 ounces of egg noodles into this boiling water. Now that this is kind of in a crumble, you can see the benefit of this. It just kind of evenly chops everything up, and it gets it into, eliminates those big chunks of burger. Even though we're using a lean beef and we're gonna probably eliminate some of the flavor, you're still gonna end up with a nice freeze-dried product. And just having that satisfaction of knowing that your long-term storage is just gonna be that much better, to me that's worth losing some of the flavor in it. So once our water's boiling, we're gonna add 16 ounces of egg noodles. And while this oil is still hot and the meat is still hot, we're gonna pour this through a strainer. That's gonna eliminate a lot of that extra grease that we just don't want for storage. So I'm gonna let this hang out for a second, then we're gonna rinse it with some water. So I would recommend not using super cold water because it's going to make that meat contract. So I would use warm or hot water. You want to get as much of the water out of this also as possible. And the amount of oil and fat that comes off of this is quite a bit. And if we want to take it even one step further, you can put this on a plate with a paper towel. That will kind of absorb some of it also. All right, now we want to put this ground beef back into another pot. I use a clean pot just because that other one has so much oil in it. And then we're going to add 2 cans of condensed cream and mushroom soup to this beef, as well as 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. We're going to mix that and let that simmer for about 10 minutes to get this good and mixed up. And then we're going to add our egg noodles. Someone thinks it smells good. It's our new puppy Max. And then when our egg noodles are done, we're gonna drain. Then we're gonna add them to our mixture of cream of mushroom and beef. You still want some of that moisture on there just to get the right texture, because we're gonna add these back in with the beef and cream of mushroom soup, along with 1 cup of sour cream, and then a little salt and pepper to your liking, and we're gonna mix this all together and we should be good to go. That's it. And then you want to turn your heat off once you add all of that in, give it a good mix. Let's see how this fits on the tray. So whenever I do a recipe like this, it really just justifies the use of the freeze dryer and the benefit of the freeze dryer, because whenever I'm at the store and I buy something like this is the meal that used to cost a family $3 to make probably. It's just noodles and a pound of beef and, you know, just some simple ingredients. But now, since stuff is so expensive, it really just goes to show you why freeze drying is beneficial. If you can just sack away a bunch of food that's kind of locked in at that price at a given year, if you can open up something, you know, in the year 2040 that was made in 2022, then you're saving that much more money, because to make that in the future obviously would cost a lot more money. And I think at this point things are just going to keep going up. You know, once we hit a benchmark, it's just going to stay there or go up. So this looks like it made actually a lot more than I thought it was going to. It's going to fill this large tray really nice, maybe even a little full. It should fill about 1.5 trays of medium. So I think once I get this all flattened out, we'll kind of be able to see a little bit better. But with a medium, I think you can make this recipe probably 2 more times and fill all of your trays. And then with a large, I'm going to do it 4 more times. And this is a really hearty, a really filling meal, lots of calories. So I think I'm going to put these dividers in the 10 portion, and these will cut right through the noodles, push them down into there, and that'll give us 10 even portions in our large freeze dryer. So I'm going to do this recipe 2 more times, because I'm just going to do 3 trays today, because my other 2 trays are going to be next week's video. But in order to find out what that video is going to be, you're just going to have to stay tuned until then. And before we throw these in the freeze dryer, I'm just going to weigh all 3 of these trays. I'll take an average. That'll help us figure out what we need to add back in for water for rehydration. 3084, 3263, 3260. Alright, well, this is the part of the video where I ask you to subscribe to my channel if you have not already. If you find freeze drying helpful for you, we do lots of freeze drying on this channel and lots of other related stuff too. And while you're there, make sure you click the bell. That's the notification bell. That'll let you know every time a new video comes out. For us, that's Sundays at 8 a.m. And if you like the videos, just go ahead and tell us by hitting that like button. That lets us know, and it lets YouTube know, and it helps YouTube get these videos out to freeze dryers and people who find these videos helpful. And speaking of helpful, the social media groups are extremely helpful if you have questions, or you're just really curious about freeze drying. We have a Facebook group, we have a MeWe group, and we have free giveaways on those groups. And those giveaways are possible because of our affiliate link for the freeze dryer. If you use our affiliate link down in the description to purchase your freeze dryer, that helps us do free giveaways on our social media. It also helps us develop products for freeze-drying-supplies.com. You can pick up any of the accessories you've seen in this video at freeze-drying-supplies.com. We're really just trying to streamline the whole freeze drying process. And we are doing the whole freeze drying process, the freeze and everything today. So this cycle will take a little bit longer than normal, but we'll see you in a little bit. All right, well, just about 60 hours on this. My cycle times are getting quite a bit longer because we are in the Midwest, which is very humid, and it is summertime, which is the most humid time of the year. And this beef stroganoff is just about picture perfect. It's shrunk down into perfect portions, and I think we're ready to bag this and get it rehydrated. And we'll do that using our Avid Armor vacuum chamber sealer, of course. If you're gonna buy one of these, make sure you use our promo code. It'll get you 10% off. That's the best deal you're gonna find anywhere. All right, we did 10 portions in our dividers. 1 portion would be about 150 grams of water that we need to add back in. That equals about 2/3 of a cup of water. And there's our freeze-dried beef stroganoff. It looks really nice. It turned out really, really good. So we'll add our 2/3 of a cup of hot water. And you can see that's condensing down really fast. I'm gonna cover this up, let it sit for about 5 minutes is usually the magic time. All right, now we're gonna give this a little stir. Let the rest of that water soak in there. And then we'll let it sit just for a few more minutes, and it should be good to go. It's looking good already. I think it's probably just about ready. And this should be good to go. It looks really good. It looks like it's fresh, like it just got cooked. Let's give it a taste test. Here we go. It's perfect. The rehydration, it does perfect. I was a little unsure how the noodles would do, but the noodles rehydrated just perfect. And I think I mentioned before that Mountain House has a beef stroganoff. That's kind of what inspired me to make this recipe, but there's no way that Mountain House will taste like this. Such a perfect comfort food, and the fact that it freeze dries well is just makes it that much better. This is a little sneak peek of a surprise coming up soon, but you're gonna have to stay tuned for that. In the meantime, this is Retired at 40. Remember to live life simple, and I'll catch you next week.